Hello, Internet, and welcome to Creative Live. This is John Gringo's Fundamentals of Digital Photography 2014 edition. My name is Kenna Klosterman, and I will be hosting today with my bestie, the lovely Susan Roderick. How are you doing this morning, Susan?
Kenna, I am so excellent. I haven't hosted a workshop with Kenna in 6 months, I think.
That's crazy talk.
It is. 6 months, I don't think we've hosted together, and she is my bestie as well, so this is so fun.
Yes.
So excited to be here.
Me too. You might start seeing some lovely differences and new things going on at Creative Live here in 2014. One of which I am so excited about is that we're going to shake up these little pre-shows a little bit more. You may have seen that last week with a couple of the workshops that happened, both here in Seattle and down in San Francisco. So start tuning in at 8:45 because there's always going to be something new and fun and different in the pre-show.
Absolutely. I mean, I think usually for our pre-show, we talk about what we're going to talk about in the workshop, and we talk to our in-studio audience. So we love to get to know our in-studio audience, but Creative Live is such an incredible community. We thought it would be cool to get to know the Creative Live crew a little bit more during the pre-show as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So bringing people from behind the scenes, letting you know how things like how Ken and I got started at Creative Live, perhaps.
Exactly, which is what we want to talk about today. I want to give a little preview, though, on Wednesday. The other thing is that so many of our employees here behind the scenes, both the crew but also all of our staff, are so talented in their own ways. And on Wednesday, we are going to have a little pre-show, a little lesson from our own Kate Haley, who's going to teach you her fundamentals of iPhoneography, because Mr. Gringo is not going to teach that. Mr. Gringo is not into the iPhoneography. But yeah.
Kate Haley is the master of iPhoneography. So if you guys do not know Kate Haley, please check her out online.
Yes, katehaley.com.
katehaley.com, and check out her photography, her iPhoneography. She is one of our best friends and just an amazing photographer. So please check her out.
So Kate has been here just about as long as Susan and I. Susan and I just celebrated our 4-year anniversary here with Creative Live. When we started, it wasn't even Creative Live. It was called Creative Techs. And we love hearing all of your Creative Live stories, all of the here's how I found out about Creative Live. And so we wanted to share our stories about how we found out about Creative Live, which has forever changed the path of our life.
First of all, can we high five 4 years?
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years at Creative Live. It's been an incredible ride, just an amazing 4 years. Best 4 years of my life, actually.
So I love your story because it involves John Gringo as well,
True.
who of course is going to be teaching this class for the next 5 days. So let's start there.
Okay, well, it is a long story. We'll try to keep it a little bit as short as we can, but Ken and I traveled around the world together. Actually, first of all, Ken and I are the original host of Creative Live.
That's
so
right.
We started hosting, the first host that I guess
That's right,
ever
first on-air host.
On-air host.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
When we first traveled the world together in 2008.
Can't believe it's been that long.
It has been a long time. 2008, 2009, and we were obviously taking photos the whole trip. I think I took 10,000 photos during that trip.
30,000.
Yeah, she took 30,000 photos. So we were really photography hungry, and as we were traveling, we were talking about wouldn't it be great to be able to get a real photography education and really learn, because neither one of us were just weren't technically savvy. We both had artistic eye, but we didn't really know. I personally had no idea what I was doing.
Well, you took all those 10,000 photos with a point and shoot.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Nikon Coolpix. I didn't even know. I didn't have a DSLR. I didn't even own a camera. So when we came back, we were talking about wouldn't that be cool to be able to learn about photography? And Kenna saw a tweet come through from a local photography store, Glazers, saying that there was a free photography class.
Free photography class. and both of us were not working at the time. We had quit our corporate world jobs and wanted to go and explore photography and see if we could become professional photographers.
That was our dream.
And I do want to give that shout out to Glazers, who is just down the street here at Creative Live, because they in fact actually provided us with so much of this gear here, these lenses, in the spirit of free education. I mean, look at that. Wow. I'm looking forward to learning about that lens. But Glazers, you will forever have been the reason that I found Creative Live.
Exactly. So we basically found out about these free photography workshop, and we heard that it was going to be at Art Wolf Studio. Art Wolf is a local photographer here in Seattle, actually world famous photographer, but his studio is here in Seattle. So when I heard that, I was so shocked, because when I first came back from our trip, a friend of mine had taken me to the Art Wolf studio, and I was so blown away by his photography. It was incredible. But I remember seeing on the table in his studio, there was these little flyers about workshops, photography workshops. And there was a guy named John Gringo who taught photography workshops at Art Wolf Studio. Yep. And I can't remember exactly how much they were. I think it was like $300 for a one day. I'm probably totally messing this up, John. But the photography workshops cost money, and they were printed on these beautiful cards. So I took the cards and I put them up on my wall at home. And I said, one day I'm going to be able to afford a photography class. I can't right now because I don't have a job, but at some point I'll be able to afford it. So when Ken and I went to our first photography class at Creative Live, we thought there was going to be 1,000 people in an auditorium.
It was free. It's a free class.
It was free. We walked in and there was literally 4 chairs in the room. And we were the only 2 people in there, I think, that day.
There were these big purple lounge chairs.
Which we still have.
We do still have.
We still have those chairs, bringing back memories. So anyway, the point of my story is that I put these flyers up on my wall at home, and I put them up and I said, one day I'm going to be able to afford a photography class. Well, it wasn't like 2 or 3 months later that we ended up at the Art Wolf Studio with this free photography class and learned that John Gringo was going to be teaching a 10 weeks Fundamentals of Digital Photography class, and we were going to be able to take it for free. And it was incredible because I felt like I absolutely manifested by focusing on these flyers on my wall. I manifested free photography education.
It's just so cool. I mean, I had only signed up for Twitter like 2 weeks prior. I didn't know what I was doing, but it's amazing how you can look at your life and these little things twist and turn. So we would love to hear your story in the chat rooms about how you found Creative Live. I think that would be really, really fun to hear everybody's stories. Some people I talked to can't even remember how they found out about it, but it's been quite a journey. Let's talk about your journey throughout these 4 years. 4 years. Let's talk about how we kind of came to be on-air host.
Well, at first I wanted to talk about the fact that this Fundamentals of Digital Photography course, let's get back to this course for me changed everything. I didn't know anything about photography. I bought my first DSLR, I think 2 days before our first class.
Yes,
at Creative Live.
yes.
So I was brand new to photography, and this course set me up for the past 4 years. It basically laid everything out for me. It made me realize so many little details about digital photography that put together create the piece of art. All these little pieces that it's so much to know, it's so much to learn, it's so much to keep track of, that this was the course for me.
Well, I just love that we say this over and over, but anytime you watch the Fundamentals of Digital Photography by John Gringo, you learn something. It doesn't matter how many years you've been photographing. There are so many details, and the way that he animates things and makes you understand them, the number of ahas. I know that I will continue to have, we will get more than one
this week, yes.
ahas this week in John's class. But
absolutely.
It's going to be great.
So kind of back to what we were talking about my journey.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that Ken and I started out as basically super fans, Creative Live super fans. Junkies. We would come into class every day and be like, oh my God, we're 10 feet away from John Gringo. I can't believe this is happening. I can actually touch him. This is so crazy. He's shaking his head over there. But we were super fans. And the fact that we became hosts of Creative Live, it was a random thing. We were in the audience every day. We showed up every day just with our notebooks. We were such Creative Live geeks. And Craig Swanson, who is the founder of Creative Live, one of the founders, he basically said, hey, do you guys want to try? We weren't even on air.
No, we weren't on air. We were just moderating the chat rooms and asking the questions to the instructors,
Right.
but just with these big headphones and microphones, so we had to hit the little buttons, and then we moved on to those little
And we kept
microphones.
moving on and moving on. But it was basically one of those sink or swim. We were basically super fans. Craig threw us into the fire, and as Creative Live has blown up and developed over the last 4 years, so has the host role, and so has
Yeah.
our careers here at Creative Live.
Absolutely.
It's been an incredible journey.
And I think what's really fun, I don't know if any of you have seen any of our old school videos. It's actually the reason that Creative Live hired us on in the first place to be kind of the first social media gals. We started creating what we called Behind the Live, which was we would do these after the Creative Live shows ended. We would start with our cameras with your DSLR. We didn't know what we were doing
Your
with
flip.
video.
We had your flip.
Oh, my flip too,
Yeah.
that's right. But we started doing behind the scenes, and what I love is that this pre-show now is kind of allowing that to come back around, where we're going to be more casual. We're just going to kind of, again, bring you in to Creative Live. So I'm really excited about that.
And back to you guys telling your stories about how you found Creative Live. New people are discovering Creative Live all the time. Every workshop, you're like, oh, this is the first time I've been here. Or the last workshop was the first time I ever tuned in, and this is incredible. And you hear people say how it's continually changing their lives.
Yeah.
So the baton is just being passed from one person to another, and it's just awesome to hear the story about how you found Creative Live and how it's changed your life.